Well, this has been long overdue, hasn't it? Uh, I checked my playlist the last time I did an R.L.D.S review. It was December 25th, 2019. Oops. I sure kept you waiting, didn't I? Uh, I apologize for those who look forward to these reviews, but ever have that feeling of just be like, I really don't want to do this? I kept having that feeling, which is why after a while I just tack them on at the end of the episode instead of making them their own separate thing, which they probably should have been, but I, I didn't want to. Too much work, I don't know. Did I get to really record these at night? And guess what, I'm recording this at night, because I didn't have time during the day. But you didn't come here to worry about my woes, you came here to worry about R.L.D.S's woes and all that stuff. Well, not many woes it has. Anyway, yeah. I promise I get this out before the end of January, and January ends the 31st. So technically, I'm still early. At least I can take that with me. So yeah, I gotta review R.L.D.S the entire series, which doesn't sound that hard on paper considering it's only about 10 episodes. Then you realize that most of those episodes are 20 to 30 minutes long, if not even longer. There's a bunch of specials and movie tie-ins. So yeah, it's not... You could say it's simple, but then you could also say it's hard. But yeah. Anyway, I'm all again. You gotta review R.L.D.S, which means you got the story, the characters, and the duels and all that other stuff. It's been so long since I've done this thing, even I don't know my own formula anymore. So yeah, might as well... For the story, I'm just gonna give a brief overview instead of like going through every single episode detail by detail, or else we'll be here all day. Yes, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not just the duels. There's an actual plot to it. I know, I was surprised too. So yeah, Season 1, and basically, need to give the summary version, begins with a main character named Lehel losing to Tamash, after which case we skip ahead to which Agaton wakes up from a dream, in which case his girlfriend gets kidnapped, only for about the next minute for his girlfriend to be kidnapped. Is that a prophetic dream? I'm not going to go through every detail, but it's one of those things you notice to be like, huh, you must have psychic powers, Agaton. Good job there, you got your girlfriend kidnapped. His girlfriend gets kidnapped by a Shadow Rider, Lord, Master, thingamafucker, and he takes the girlfriend's soul hostage because he wants Agaton to join him as one of the Shadow Riders for Darkness's big return. One of many. He kidnaps his girlfriend and says, I'll meet you again, because since Agaton hasn't played for a while, he needs Agaton to get his game back on. So, once the girlfriend is kidnapped, Agaton goes to her brother, or Lehel, who, of course, confronts Agaton about what the fuck he just did, because be like, dude, my sister got kidnapped and it's all your fucking fault. But then he soon realizes that, well, at the same time, we don't really have a choice, because it's either I team up with Agaton or my sister is permanently kidnapped, and I don't really like that detail, it being kidnapped by darkness. The two team up, and Lehel tells Agaton there are 5 legendary cards that can make a duelist invincible. If they collect all 5, they can get his sister back. So, and if you know Yu-Gi-Oh, you know what those 5 cards are. It rhymes with Schmegzodia. So the basic premise of Season 4 is just collecting the 4 additional cards. They get one each in the second episode, in which case it's revealed that Lehel got his Blue Eyes White Dragon, which he has, from Tamash, who had a spare copy. After that, they get 2 pieces from a high ranking of these Shadow Riders who uses Synchro Monsters, which was a brand new mechanic at the time of the first season. And he puts up a good fight, considering he fights them on 2 versus 1 and almost wins, but thanks to teamwork, they're able to pull out the win at the last possible second. After that, they go on to fight the big bad himself, Nemesis, and after a tough duel, Agaton is able to summon Exodia and get his girlfriend back. But there's a cost. One of them has to go and replace her. And after a duel to decide who will be, Lehel ends up sacrificing himself to get his sister back. And then the events of the movie series play out where Tamash and Bensei team up to defeat Darkness with the 3 Egyptian god cards, and as a result of Darkness losing, his power fades and releases Lehel. So Lehel gets out of Hehel and takes on a new persona, Ronin. So after he takes on the identity of Ronin, he goes to tell his girlfriend about that he's back alive, because if you just came back from the land of living, you'd tell your loved ones too. after that, he tells her he goes to face Shmirko, who holds the 3 Egyptian god cards, believing that the Egyptian god cards will give him enough power to overpower and kill Tamash, because he learns that Tamash has darkness in his heart, and if he kills Tamash, he kills darkness. So unfortunately, Ronin ends up coming up short, and Shmirko is able to defeat him. So as a result, Ronin basically decides, okay, fuck that then. That was just a backup plan anyway. I can just do it with my own deck, which kind of makes you wonder what the point was, but then again, at the same time, might as well try, you know? What have we got to lose? I mean, Agaton's the one that has Exodia. So Ronin goes to fight in Tamash, but along the way, Agaton goes to intercept after Ronin. Unfortunately, while Agaton puts up a good fight, Ronin just completely demolishes him and is out of his league. And Agaton got a new cyber stack and everything for that, and he just gets destroyed. It's so one-sided. So after that's taken down, he goes on to face Tamash and get his revenge. Unfortunately, he made one fatal mistake. He challenged Tamash to a children's card game. And then if anyone who knows the movie series knows, that is not something you do easily. Well, okay, challenging Tamash to a duel is something you do easily. Beating Tamash is an entirely different ball game. Actually, I shouldn't even say that challenging him to a duel is hard, because he retires every 5 minutes. After that, Ronin decides to lay low for a while, considering he can't really trust anyone, considering he just betrayed Agaton and all of his loved ones. So as a result, he goes around and does stuff. It's not really gone into big detail. We know that he, though, recruits Justin and David as a result of this, considering he's seen in the background of the specials. So with that, season 2 begins with a message from Lehel to Agaton. It's a message where he tells Agaton about what happened, where he met a man named Mephisto who thought he could help him defeat the last of the Shadow Duelists. He goes to the meeting with Mephisto, only to find out that there's no one in the room that he visited, and realizes that he has his nemesis, the villain of the last Dark's mask. And then he gets ambushed by meta mercenaries, telling him that if Lehel wants Mephisto, he has to hand over the Exodia pieces. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the Exodia pieces. Agaton does. So as a result, the meta mercenaries go after him. Lehel manages to escape, but is in kind of a bad condition after jumping out of a window. Fortunately, David's not that far away and manages to intercept one of the meta mercenaries, and after a tough duel is able to come out on top, just barely surviving. After that, Lehel keeps running from the meta mercenaries, only for Justin to intercept and manage to defeat the other one. Meanwhile, Agaton is moping about about believing that he had killed his best friend for all this time, that he thought he was dead, only to find out that he was alive the entire time and didn't tell him, which, to be fair, is justifiable. Like, imagine if you had all the grief of thinking that you killed your own friend, just to find out he was alive the entire time and he didn't tell you. That would be kind of a dick move, and you'd feel like shit over it. He doesn't really trust Lehel, though, but it runs into Phoenix, an old friend from the first season who used the Synchro Monsters. And Phoenix wants to buy off the Exodia pieces from Agaton, but Agaton duels him over the pieces. Unfortunately for Agaton, Phoenix has just improved his game too much as opposed to Agaton, and Phoenix gets the win. But despite the condition, Phoenix doesn't want the Exodia pieces, because on second thought, he realizes he'd have the meta mercenaries after him, and he'd rather not deal with that bloodshed. Also revealing the fact that the main reason he was even after this duel in the first place was just to get his pride back. So yeah, he's still kind of a dick. Although, at the end of the day, he didn't take the Exodia pieces, although it was entirely for selfish reasons, but hey, take a victory where you can get it in a sense. Which means that, although it does mean in a sense that duel was entirely pointless. Whatever. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! You can't not have duels. It's the name of the franchise. Justin goes to help Lehel home. Unfortunately, the two manage to run into David, and David believes that Justin is a meta mercenary because the two have never met in person. Apparently, the two will have a duel until Lehel finally breaks it up. He introduces the two to each other, and they go on their merry way back to their base to explain what their plan is. Meanwhile, Justin's friend goes to fight Shmirko and gets obliterated completely. Solomon Great got destroyed by some hodgepodge deck out of nothing, made of nothing. There is no archetypal mixing unless you want to count Darkest Diablos and what's it called? Darkest Layer or something like that. Layer of Darkness. This deck has about as much consistency as fucking... I was gonna say as Monarchs, even Monarchs have more consistency. Trust me, I play character decks. I played Schmierko's deck. I have never gotten a good hand. But then again, maybe that's just my luck, because it is the luck of the draw. I don't know. It's the power of being the wise old whatever the fuck. I can't really reveal what he is, considering it's not typically relevant to the R.L.D.S, even though it does take place in the same universe and he's taking over. Either way, after that, Schmierko decides to make him his pupil, and what does his pupil do? He immediately takes down the last remaining meta mercenaries. Just barely, because they're playing the meta, so you better believe they're powerful. He then takes up a contract with Mephisto, believing that Justine is not in a safe condition if he's got to get Justin back. And if it means he's going to get paid for it, he'll take that paycheck happily too. So with that in mind, he takes the money and goes to defeat Justin, to believing that he can bring him home into safety. And manages to defeat Justin in order to get that job done. Oh yeah, and while that's happening at Agaton's side of the world, Balazar, a villain from the first season, has returned and kidnapped his girlfriend. Didn't we just do this in the first season? So, Agaton needs to duel and get him back, because Agaton had felt bad about all the losses he's been getting with the Cybers deck, and felt like he's not worthy of Exodia and should just go back to his original deck of a hodgepodge stuff, which I mocked, but at the same time, Schmierko's doing a fine job with his deck. But Schmierko reveals that he gave the Cybers deck to Agaton because he trusted him with it to win with it. So while he wanted to give the deck back, after he defeats Balazar, he's able to get his confidence back, knowing that at least he's still in the game, and he has to get Lehel back. And there's only one person who can tell him where Lehel is, and that's going to Schmierko himself. Why are you going to just call Schmierko? I don't know. He's been having no problems doing that so far, but maybe he just figured doing it in person. But maybe he figured that he'd just hang up on him before he could. You can't hang up on me in real life, you dick. Also, he wants to recruit Schmierko to try and help them. Agaton goes to get Schmierko. Meanwhile, Lehel hears about Justin being kidnapped and has to go save him. But he tells David to keep an eye on his girlfriend, just in case anything happens. So Lehel duels Rixie or Risky or Risk. I don't fucking. He was Justin's friend and is able to come out on top and get Justin back. Meanwhile, Agaton goes to Schmierko to try to get his help or the location of Lehel, but Schmierko tells him that he doesn't think that Agaton is ready to even face Mephisto yet at the power where he's at. Mephisto's a great threat to all of them, so he wants to give Agaton a bit of a test duel to see how far he's come. After all, the two of them combined couldn't defeat Schmierko in the past. Ronan couldn't do it himself. How can Agaton stand? Well, and I might be wrong with a 2-on-1 duel. That might have just ended in a draw, and I might be misremembering. Either way, Agaton and Schmierko have a great duel. It's fantastic. All the usual platitudes that it's given to the duel. And Schmierko, whose undefeated streak has a small blemish put on it. There was a draw. It was not a loss, but it was a draw. So he doesn't win every duel, but he doesn't lose. He doesn't lose them all either. He doesn't lose any of them so far on screen. Either way, you get the idea. Agaton is able to be a match for Schmierko. He wasn't able to best him, but he was able to go toe-to-toe with him. With that, Schmierko believes that Agaton is ready to face Mephisto and tells him Lehel's location. He can't go with them to help because he has his own problems to deal with at the moment in his own series. But right now, he can tell him where Lehel is and gives him the coordinates. With that going on, Agaton races to where Lehel is, and Lehel receives word that Mephisto already has his girlfriend and goes to the base back where he left his girlfriend. Once again, we're kidnapping and saving the girlfriends. I'm getting a case of deja vu. Lehel is able to get to where the base first and reveals that David was Mephisto the entire time, and tells him all about his backstory and why he did what he did. About how he lost his cousins and family in a great inferno, and as a result he got all their money in the will. But what he really wants, no matter how much money he has, no amount of money can replace the family he lost along the way. So he plans to take the Exodia pieces and open up a portal to the underworld itself, in which case he will take his family back by force if he has to. That's a brief synopsis of what happens. I'm sure I've got some things wrong in that, but I'm sure I've gotten a lot of things wrong throughout this synopsis as is. Leho and Mephisto now have a duel in order to decide. Leho and Mephisto then have a duel to decide the fate of his girlfriend, because as the only way to take life out of the underworld is to give it back, as we experienced with the girlfriend and of Agaton. Leho and Mephisto have their duel, and Mephisto just ends up being just so powerful that Leho can't take it on alone. Fortunately, Agaton shows up at the last possible second to make the save, and tells Mephisto to make the duel a 2 versus 1, and if he doesn't, he'll roll up the Exodia pieces right in front of him. With no choice, Mephisto accepts the conditions, and with the two combining their power, they're able to defeat Mephisto, and the Exodia pieces are left to burn. And you know what? It's probably better off that way. Better a great power like that, it just be left to just best a great power like that be destroyed than abused. With that, unfortunately, the two must say their goodbyes, as Leho will be going to Paris with his girlfriend, and hopefully soon to be his wife. But not before running into Tamash in the movie series crossover, who wants his Boral pieces for an upcoming tournament that's happening. The two have a duel to decide if he gets the Boral pieces or not, and after a duel, Tamash is able to come out on top again. Though while Leho did lose the duel, he does take a little pride in it, as Thomas handed down his Blue Eyes White Dragon to Leho in the beginning of the series, and now at the end of the series, he gets to pass down his Borals in a sense. So while Tamash will give them back, at least he can take a little pride in his loss. There's a little pride in it. So with that done, he goes to Paris to live a nice, happy life with his girlfriend, and they all lived happily ever after. Unless there's more to come along the way. And that's the brief overview of R.L.D.S. And by brief, I mean it took me like 15 to 20 minutes to summarize all that. Granted, I did say it was going to be a brief summary, and that I went into a lot of detail, because I'm not very good at all this stuff. And I do it mostly by memory instead of writing a script, because I am the most professional man in the world. It took me a month to get to this, but it didn't make me sit down and actually write the script. I am indeed the professional. Later on, you say I'm part of the team. If I was part of the team, I'd be fired day 1. Yeah, I gave you a month to do this and you didn't even prepare for it? Get the fuck off my team. The only reason you're on the team is because I can't fire you because you're in a different country. Anyway, but I won't make excuses. I'm a lazy fuck. If I get paid to procrastinate, I'd never do work again. Although if I got paid for it, it definitely would be doing work. So it's an oxymoron, or like an impossible loop or something like that, you know? Self-defeating prophecy? Either way, yeah, that's the story of R.L.D.S. as it ends after this. Now, it is told in the future of R.L.D.S. that there may be more R.L.D.S. stuff along the way, possibly. Like, we still have Arc Zero that will be coming out at some point. I'm not going to hold them to any date or anything like that. I just believe that it'll happen out sometime in our lifetimes. Maybe. I don't think that's unreasonable. And there might be movies in the future, but honestly, again, I'm not going to hold them to it. Although, I will comment on one thing. I like the idea of the alternate universe story, but that's mainly because I'm always a big fan of alternate universe stories. Like, what would happen if X happened? But that just me giving my 2 cents on a video I didn't do a reaction to. So yeah, that doesn't mean you have to do it. That does not. I'm not trying to say that. I am interested in your future stuff. Like, they also mentioned doing a play about some famous Hungarian poet guy or priest guy. And I'm honestly interested in that one a lot, mostly because I'm interested in the history of other worlds. Because I hear a lot about American history because I live here. But at the same time, it's like, I want to know what happened in other places in the world, you know? And I don't hear a lot about Hungary. So, yeah. But anyway, I've gone strongly off topic. Welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy your time here. I know you're going to dislike this into oblivion, so just get over with and I can go and cry in my corner. So yeah, Shmirka will apparently be picking up the mantle after R.L.D.S. is over with his own little spin-off series. Well, not really a spin-off, more of a continuation. It says it happens in the same universe, so yeah. Congrats to Shmirka for picking up the universe. I wonder who he'll pass it off to. Anyway, get to the characters themselves. We have your main characters of Leho and Agaton, of course, to start off with. We'll begin with Leho since he's the main guy. His character basically starts from losing a tournament to Tamash to having to go save his sister, or with her boyfriend, who royally screwed the pooch on this one in a sense. Then, as a result of sacrificing himself to save his sister, hates darkness with a passion like no other and tries to kill a man for it. But even cutting all ties to all of his friends and family and loved ones. But as a result of that, feels immense grief because of it. But what he's done, feels like he's betrayed them and has to start a team with new friends. But unfortunately, one of those friends betrays him. Fortunately, it does all end up happily for the man, and he's able to reconnect with his friends and loved ones who end up forgiving him in the end, which is always a good sign. We burn a lot of bridges in our time, but it doesn't mean we can't mend those bridges as well. Some relationships can be mended and are worth mending. Lehel's character is probably the most interesting of the series, because because even though in the first season there's not a lot to these characters, as it's just save the girlfriend, save the sister, it is interesting in the second season the ramifications of all the action that goes down. I do think that what he goes through with his depression and all that stuff is rather interesting. And so yeah, if I had to pick a favorite character of the season, it would be Lehel, hands down. Agate, on the other hand, is a bit of a mixed bag, because in the first season he has to kidnap his girlfriend, in which case I find it funny that he's claimed to be a Shadow Rider and they never go into that. Maybe they'll go into that at some point, but I do find it interesting that they call up the fact that they need all their best Shadow Riders and need Agate, and that's never brought up again. If it is, I must have missed it. I don't know. Maybe it was just a generic grunt or something. But yeah, well, Agate is fine in the first season, but the second season, it kind of feels like he's going all over the place for like a midlife crisis, because he's like, oh, I can't believe Lehel would betray me like that. I'm going to go to a Phoenix randomly. Oh, fuck, I lost again with my Cyberse deck. I'm the worst duelist ever and don't deserve the pieces. Oh, wait, yeah, I beat Balatzar. I do deserve the pieces. Well, I'm going to go find Lehel. But I'm going to go find Lehel. Oh, there you are, Lehel. So now let's all be friends again. It kind of feels a little disjointed. Like, that's kind of the brief summaries about it, but it just, at some points, it did feel like Agate was just kind of doing stuff. It didn't feel as connected, or at the very least, I can connect to it as well. Although I did relate to that feeling of you suck so hard that you should just give up on the deck. But the deck doesn't make the duelist. The duelist makes the deck, and at the same time, as a result of that, that's a saying I follow a lot in this game. But unfortunately, there's also a drastic consequence of that phrasing I have, because if the duelist makes the deck and you keep failing with the deck, at some point, it's not the deck's fault. It's you as a duelist. That's kind of a pessimistic way of looking at it, but it's how I look at it. It's a quote that can inspire me and also break me at the same time. Makes you really think I should get a new one, like hang in there or something like that, like those cat posters. But the human brain doesn't like happiness. I do relate to that feeling of just feeling like you're worthless and don't even know why you bother continuing going on, but you push on through anyway despite that for the people you care about. And he does want to be Lehel's friend again at the end of the day and does forgive him for what happened. Alright, and a small detail I forgot, they go and help Tamash face darkness again because he comes back later in the Ultimate Link War. I don't like that movie. But whatever. It's fan service, Infinity War. But whatever. The only thing that the movie has to its name is duels and nothing else, which Yu-Gi-Oh is far past this point. But whatever, this isn't a review of Link Wars. Bleh. So yeah, Agate's character just kind of feel like it's just there at points. He's not a bad character. I do like Agate. I just like Lehel more. There's also now for the other characters we have the two girlfriends. They have characters. They get kidnapped. Okay, the girls do have characters just to get them out of the way first. They're perfectly fine characters. Unfortunately, they also suffer from that Yu-Gi-Oh problem of being like the girls are there. I mean, I'm not saying that as in like they should strap on a duelist, just gonna be dueling 24/7. They don't give a fuck about Yu-Gi-Oh. They probably barely agree to be. They probably barely agreed to even be on this thing in the first place. I'd give them nothing but credit for putting their faces on this series they probably don't even care about in the first place. So yeah, points there to helping out a friend and all that stuff. But it's just, I don't know, it just kind of feels like they're suffering from that problem of like, girl is in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because girl must be in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not bad. It just kind of feels like, I don't know. They're perfectly fine. That's the best I can say about them, is that they're fine. They don't piss me off when they're on screen or anything like that. There's nothing annoying about them. It just kind of feels like they're there to be there, and that's it. Again, nothing wrong with them, nothing wrong with their actors or anything like that. I'm sure they're all wonderful people who are a joy to be around and all that stuff. I'm just saying my opinion on what happens with the characters and all that stuff. It's not how when they're kidnapped every 5 minutes. Although, to be fair, it's Agaton's girlfriend more than it is Lehel's. Although, while I do mock the stealing of girlfriends all the time, I shouldn't really be mocking considering this Yu-Gi-Oh! Real-life series, movie stuff that I watch. You know, I watch a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! And real-life stuff. You may have noticed from my channel, or not, considering I watch a variety of shit. I try to keep it mostly Yu-Gi-Oh!, but I fail more often than not. Anyway, I've watched a lot of that stuff, and most of the time, the bad guy is evil to try to either take over the world, destroy the world, or something involving the world. So really, me trying to nitpick something like kidnapping girlfriends, where it's just like, it may be overused like a freaking Mario Brother plot, but at least it's something different from Yu-Gi-Oh! It was normal, just, I'm going to destroy the entire world! Or take over the entire world, something like that, you know? It's something a bit more relatable, like you kidnapped my girlfriend is more relatable than I'm going to destroy the world or take it over or all that stuff, you know? I don't know. We also have Justin, who is there. Justin never pisses me off. It just kind of feels like he's just kind of there to be helpful. He also does work for Beze. That's a plot point I forgot to bring up. The fact that he is... The reason he agrees to go along with Ronin/Lehel the entire time is because he's keeping an eye on him for Beze in case something goes wrong. You know, just to be... He's kind of like a spy for him. His main quarrel is with Risky and what his friend has done, or Rixie. Blech. Their whole compadre thing is just fine. You know, rather than piss me off, I like the characters fine. Just, you know, they're there, they're nice. David, it has the most characters, but that's because he's the big bad, so he has to have the most character behind him. If he didn't have any character behind him, he wouldn't be a very good big bad now, would he? Although, then again, I'm also don't have a problem with evil for the sake of evil, but that's just my opinion. It's a tragic story about what happened with Mephisto, but in the end, he got to go to hell for it, which means he gets to be reunited with his family. Yay. I forgot that detail about how he goes to hell for his actions. Oops. Oh, he gets to be with his family again. It's all one big happy ending. Well, they don't, to be fair, they don't push him in there. They just offer him the opportunity to go see his family, and he takes it. Because he just wants to be with his family at the end of the day, even if that means death. So, yeah. I know that wasn't a very in-depth overview about the characters, but, you know, they're just kind of, I don't know. There's nothing offensive about the characters, they're just not the most mind-boggling stuff in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, they're fine. They don't piss me off or anything like that. You know. I'm a very in-depth reviewer, as you can tell. What should I go into detail about next? Balazar? I mean, Mephisto's a better villain than Nemesis, so that's just because the glory of just, Nemesis is just generic, dark, evil McBad guy. Oh. What are you gonna do? Either way, yeah. So, and of course the duels themselves in these series look, fantastic. It feels like movie series level quality. Even from episode 1. There's some jank going on early on, but by the end of it, you could feel yeah, they're in their own flow. You made CGI models for, a bunch of the random-ass monsters you wouldn't think would deserve a CGI model. You made it with plasma and stuff like that. Just be you clearly put a lot of detail and stuff into that. Although, there is moments where he doesn't put detail into it that kind of stick out, my favorite when he summons, the 3 Boral monsters out, Borreload, Borosort, and Borreload, not Borreload Savage, Borreguard Dragon, and only 2 of them are CGI and Borreguard just a normal model. I'm not mocking Lehel, because at that point I'm pretty sure it's just I just want to get the fucking episode out, so if I have to use the fucking card from the art, I don't have a problem with that stuff. I just find it funny because it kind of sticks out, you know? Again, no hard feelings towards Leo. It's really fine, and I understand why he would just cut corners on that, but it's just one of those things, you know? Anyway, yeah. The duels are phenomenal in R.L.D.S, so I'm glad I got to check them out. So yeah, ultimately, my final thoughts on R.L.D.S is it's a fantastic series, and if you enjoyed the movie series, although it felt like it started to peter out towards the end, just check out R.L.D.S because it takes place in the same universe, and it's a much more fulfilling story because it actually has a story and characters that you care about instead of them just being like, we must defeat the big bad because shut up. Hey. I don't know. Either way, yeah. R.L.D.S is a fantastic series, and you check it out, and I hope... And of course, even though it is over, I hope that later on, Agaton... I know he has a real name, but I've never said it before, so I might as well just keep calling it that. Later on, Agaton, Schmirko, and all of their friends and family have a wonderful life in their future endeavors and all that stuff. I hope we meet again along the way and all that fantastic stuff, because you're all fantastic people, and I thank you all for this. And I apologize greatly that you would have put up with me as a person. I am terrible. And I know you're going to write some comment later on about how I'm not that terrible and all that stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I'm always self-depraving. Either way, I hope this episode wasn't worth the wait and it was a massive letdown for all of you. Please make sure to dislike and unsubscribe from the channel. I don't actually do any of that stuff, or else I'll be crying in a corner for like the next week and I'll feel awful. I don't know why I keep saying that. I'm setting myself up for failure. But yeah. Yeah. I'm not a professional, and I never will be as long as I live. So yes, to wrap it up, R.L.D.S is a fantastic series, and if I had to give it a ranking, which I give up, I give it like, I think an A- is pretty safe, or A or something like that. Yeah, I think this is easily like one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh series that I have seen, and I've seen a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh series. I've been asked to do a top 10 of all my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh series, and I'm just like, dude, I've done so many of them, and so many of them are just so mediocre that they would get on the list by law of, I need to get to 10. And then when you get to the top 10, it'd just be like, well, I don't know which one I would put further up. I can't, in good faith, put them further up. And what do I do about the series that have been canceled and whatnot? Because what about the series that have just started and then get dropped and stuff like that? I can't put them on a list. But yeah, if I were to make that list, R.L.D.S would easily be in the top 10. Like, I'm not saying it wouldn't be like in the top 5, but just like it would easily be on the list. I don't know where I would put it, but it would easily be in there. So yeah. Maybe I will do a top 10 list one day if it's requested enough. I don't have any big fancy fiasco for any of this stuff. I just want to say again, thank you for all your time you put into this layer on at Agaton. This has been your baby, and I've been stuck watching it for the past 4 years, and I've been enjoying my time ever since, well, 3 to 4 years, something like that. You get the idea either way. It's been a pleasure to work with you and watching your series, and hopefully there'll be more in the future, and this will not be the end of it. So yeah, until next time, CS Dog.